Carter, Pee Wee, B Miller, Mark Stitt. I can name some more, no cap. That's some real shit. Lil Nick, Bank Street, nigga used to have you sick.
Yo, what up though? This is your boy Crispy Daniels, and you are once again on Show Me Talk. Alright, y'all, so tonight's video or movie, we're going to be talking about Kickboxer 2, The Road Back. So if anybody's ever seen the first Kickboxer movie, then you would know that movie was a waste of time. Now, the reason why I say it was a waste of time is because at the end, where, it leaves off and it picks up in part 2, the two brothers, Erick and Kurt Sloan, get killed off by Tong Po, right? They both get shot. And in this movie, you have a third brother, which was never mentioned at all in the first movie. And his name is David Sloan. He's played by Sasha Mitchell. If anybody's seen that show Step by Step from back in the day, he played the goofball dude. What's his name? Cody. I guess he was the cousin or the brother of the family or something like that. I don't remember. But yeah, that's him. So in this movie right here, what happens is the gym that David is running, for his brothers and all that, because they're now deceased, is actually in a slump, and he's behind on payments because he's refusing to take fights anymore. He doesn't want to fight because his brothers, pretty much got killed in Thailand. So that's his whole reason for not, for refusing to fight. And so the dude that's working with him, which is the same dude that was in Mo Money, he played the villain in that movie, the next year. He's actually his partner or his assistant, basically, making sure the bills are paid and everything. So he's telling David that he needs to start taking fights and all of that for, the gym to be up and running again. But again, David is too stubborn to listen. He doesn't want to take fights and all of that because, like I said, because of his brothers. So there's one guy, he's like a promising fighter that comes and works out at the gym. His name is Brian. This was like David's best friend slash student. And they're actually in the ring sparring. And then this one guy shows up. I believe his name's Micaiah. And he brings in this fighter, right? This dude that he brings into the gym to check out David, sparring with Brian and all of that. He really don't believe that, in David's skill, even though this dude was beaten by, both of the older brothers in the past. So, David wins the sparring match, and Brian, he's butthurt about it because David, swept him, and he felt like, David kind of cheated, but he was basically telling Brian, to stay on your guard and all of that. And so Micaiah, he actually tells Brian that he has a good future in, professional kickboxing. And so he leaves Brian his card and all that, and Brian takes him up on an offer. And he's basically, telling David to fuck off. You know what I'm saying? Because David wants what's best for him, but Brian thinks that David is holding him back. Now, at first, Brian does not admit this, but later on, he does. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if it's because he started taking steroids and all of that, because, steroids can do stuff to you. But, his whole personality just changed. You know what I'm saying? And so Micaiah sets up, at first, David, he gets the offer too to work for Micaiah, but he turns it down. So he doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want to work for him. He wants nothing. You know what I'm saying? So again, his assistant is telling him that the gym is going to hell and all of that. And so what changes David's mind about the fight, he shows up to Brian's mother's house for dinner that night, I believe. And so Brian, he goes for a walk, and David follows him shortly after that. And so, like I was saying earlier, where Brian finally admitted to the fact that he don't want David as a coach anymore because he feel like he's holding him back for real. David then changes his mind about the fight with old boy. You know what I'm saying? And so, the fight takes place not too long after that. And it was pretty much one-sided. You know what I'm saying? David Sloan whooped his ass. Now, old boy is getting a few shots in. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, he was getting his ass whooped all around the ring. And so David wins the fight. And now, old boy, the one that lost the fight, is butthurt about this. So he comes back to David's gym later. You know what I'm saying? Like, they jump him, they beat him up. And then there was one kid that David took in. He was going to train him and everything because the kid was homeless. So when they set the gym on fire, the kid pretty much died. Now, I thought that was probably like the darkest part of the movie. You know what I'm saying? So later on, David, he's now in the hospital. And Zian appears, right? His assistant brings in Zian from Thailand to assist David. You know what I'm saying? So now it's like the opposite. In the first movie, Kurt was trying to beg, Zian to teach him Muay Thai so he could take on Tong Po. In this movie, Zian is trying, you know what I'm saying, to nurture David back to health so he could train him in Muay Thai so he could take on, not take on Tong Po exactly, but he was just trying to nurture him back to health in the beginning. So Zian starts following him around and all of that. And David, he really wants nothing to do with Zian. You know what I'm saying? Because again, this kid died and now he's traumatized by it. So he can't think of nothing else but the kid because he felt like it was his fault. You know what I'm saying? So that guilt really got to him. And so later on, David, he's in a motel because he has no choice. He has no gym anymore. So, the girl that I guess she was somebody that David knew. I don't know if she was a student or not, but she came by the motel and convinced David to take on Zian or whatever. So David agrees, and now Zian starts, training him or nurturing him back to health to the point where he can walk again and all of that. And so they're in the park one day, and David, he's changing his bandages on his leg, and then Brian shows up. You know what I'm saying? Dude got the Corvette. You know what I mean? He's wearing suits and all of that. And so obviously he's got money now. So he wants David to show up at his first professional fight. I believe it's first professional fight. And so David agrees. And he wanted him to bring his mother too. So shortly after this, you know what I'm saying, we get the scene where David, Zian, and his mother, Brian's mother, is walking into the arena to watch the fight. And so at the last minute, the fighter that was supposed to be going against Brian had pulled out. And in his place was, at first, it was a mystery fighter, but everybody obviously knew who it was. You know what I'm saying? As soon as the announcer said that he's from Thailand, that's when Zian looked up really quick because he knew what was going on. And the dude took off the hood, and sure enough, it was Tong Po. So when the fight started, Tong Po, he did like he did in the first movie. He approached his opponent without warning, Erick. But, he beat the ever-loving crap out of Brian. You know what I'm saying? Like, he beat him to death, literally. Like, he died in the hospital. Like, that's how bad he beat him. And so, David felt bad because he was trying to get Brian to pull out of the fight. You know what I'm saying? But Brian wouldn't do it. You know what I mean? So he was stubborn, just like Erick was in the first movie. So when Tong Po pretty much killed him, the guy that played Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat, he's in this movie. You know what I'm saying? Kerry Tagawa. You know what I'm saying? He's in this movie. So he's managing Tong Po. And the reason why, he brought Tong Po to America to fight Brian is because he felt like the honor that Tong Po lost in Thailand for killing, Erick and Kurt, you know what I'm saying, he needed to regain that in America by fighting, David, because that's who they were after the whole time. And so they figured if they take out Brian and just beat him to death, then David would change his mind about fighting. You know what I'm saying? So David finally agrees to fight, and he, he's prepping for the fight and everything, and he's meditating with Zian and all of that. And So this fight right here in this movie doesn't take place with a crowd. You know what I'm saying? This takes place after hours, after everything is done. You know what I'm saying? After everybody went home. So now it's David and Tong Po in the ring. See, in this movie, you know, Sasha Mitchell was pretty tall. He's got to be at least 6'2", 6'3". And the dude that played Tong Po, they about the same height. I don't know. I think David is a little taller, but the fight scene in this movie, you know what I'm saying? Like the camera angles make it look like Tong Po is towering over him. You know what I'm saying? But he's really not. So in the beginning, the fight again is one-sided. You know what I'm saying? Because they're fighting in the ancient way, just like they did in the first movie with the wraps and the glass and all of that. But in this movie, I gotta say the fight is a little more violent, a little more bloodier. You know what I'm saying? Because Tong Po is beating the ever-loving doo-doo, like the ever-loving dog shit out of David Sloan. And so at first you think he's about to lose, you know what I'm saying? But David remembers his own words and all of that. And so now, you know, this is a straight ass pull. You know what I'm saying? He gets up and he just regains the strength. And Tong Po, you know what I'm saying, all of a sudden now is getting his ass whooped. When in the beginning, none of the hits really affected him like that. You know what I'm saying? So now Tong Po is getting his ass whooped. And then, you know, David wins the fight. And so the dude, you know, Cary Tagawa's character, he pulls out a gun threatening to kill David because, you know, they set up cameras and everything because that was the only way Tong Po was going to regain his honor back in Thailand. So they was recording a fight for the people back in Thailand, but Tong Po lost anyway. And so, you know, in poor sportsmanship, he pulls a gun out and he's trying to kill David. But, you know, David overcomes this and knocks his ass out too. And that's pretty much the end of that. And so the last part of the movie, you know, him and Zian, they're like great friends now. And so, you know, they talking and the little ice cream truck and all that pulls up. And so the movie ends with everybody going to the ice cream truck. Now, I got to say, the ending feels conclusive in this movie. Unlike the first one where it just ended, you know what I'm saying? But that's how movies were back in the 80s, along with the 70s, especially the Kung Fu flicks where they just end with really no conclusion after the final fight. It just ends. That's how most of them were. But this movie is not as good as the first one. I got to say that. Now, Sasha Mitchell, he looked like, you know, he's a, you know, professionally trained and everything. You know what I'm saying? He has the skill on the camera, but I got to say Van Damme's skill was a little better. You know what I'm saying? Like, as far as his kicks and all that, yeah, Van Damme was better. Next time, we're going to be talking about Kickboxer 3. You know what I mean? I had just watched that one yesterday for the first time in years to refresh my memory on it. But this one right here, if I got to give it a grade, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. You know what I'm saying? Because the fight choreography was okay, but it wasn't up to par, you know what I'm saying, with the first movie. But yeah, I got to give it a 6 because there was a lot of things wrong with it. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of bad decisions made too. You know what I'm saying? Especially on the dude that played Brian, his part, where he just, you know what I'm saying? Like David kept warning him to back out of the fight, and he was the one that killed his brothers and all of that, and the old boy wasn't listening. You know what I'm saying? Stupid choices like that. But then again, it might have been out of ignorance too. You know what I'm saying? Plus his head was blown up. So, you know what I mean? They basically tricked the poor bastard into fighting Tong Po. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I give it a 6, man. If you haven't seen this movie, it's worth to watch at least one time to form your own opinion. And if you have, then let me know what you think. You know what I'm saying? And if you're watching this on YouTube, give me a like, comment, and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate you. Have a nice night. And like I said before, I'm about to go do something with my life. So I'll talk to y'all later. All right? Peace.
The feeling is mutual. Come in, take a seat, share your thoughts with each, and preach it when you speak, so we can share kinetic energy throughout the brainwaves. Keep us balanced out and all on the same stage.